Hello everyone, welcome back to the YouTubers Hamfest 2021. So I am joined today by Harry Zachrisson. I think I pronounced that correctly, did I? I hope I did.
Yeah.
Harry, your call sign is Sierra Mike 7 Papa November Victor, and you have the store Zacktek, and you sell, amongst other things, whisper transmitters and receivers and all sorts of goodies. So I thought I'd have you on the channel today to have a bit of a chat about that. I'm sure that some of our viewers are in the market for some whisper transmitters or something else new to play with. So I thought I'd start off with asking you first, though, how long have you been a ham and what interests you in the hobby?
All right, Hayden. Thank you for that intro. I've been a ham, I think, since '83. I went to school and studied electronics for first 2 years, like a trade school where they teach electronics, and then I did a companion year, which was just focused on electronic communication. And during that year, my teacher was a ham. So he introduced me to that and got me to take the license. And I think that was in '83. So I've been licensed for a long time. Been in and out of the hobby as many. And recently I started my own company doing whisper transmitters, as you said. And it's been real fun doing that for 2 years.
Now,
so that's maybe a brief introduction of me.
Yeah.
My work have been into electronics and computers for most of my life.
Now, I did forget to mention. Now, you're based in Sweden.
Right.
How many amateurs are actually in Sweden?
I don't have a clue. I would think maybe it's in the tens of thousands, but I couldn't say exactly how many.
Yeah, because I'm not even sure. I think I had a contact with a Swedish station on FT-8 not that long ago, but I haven't seen many stations pop up on the HF bands recently anyway from Sweden. So,
well, we're a small country. We're about 10 million. So yeah, and as I guess it's all around the world, most of the hams are older guys. So you're an exception, Hayden. So nice to see that we are filling up with the younger guys.
Well, I had to think. I think I've been. Oh dear, I think I've been licensed 17 years this year, so it's been a while.
All right.
But yeah, it's always good to encourage new people into the hobby. That's for sure. So you've been a ham for quite a long time. What are the things that interest you in the hobby? So you're building whisper transmitters at the moment. What other things interest you? So I gather that you've had an interest in digital modes such as whisper for a little while. Is there anything else?
Well, yeah, I'm the kind of ham that mostly builds stuff. I'm not actually operating that much. When I do operate, it's mostly on digital modes. I haven't actually tried out the new ones. I recently joined a few members. What was the last one? That was for I can't even remember the name. The digital mode. I intend to go online, but never happened. Always stuck building stuff instead. So if you catch me on the air, that would be a rare occasion, I would say. But of course, I always run my whisper transmissions. You will see my transmissions from here, and that is running more or less 24/7. So I do have a regular station. I do have a Yaesu FT-818, which sometimes I use, but not that often. I'm the kind of guy that likes to experiment, build, and I like test instruments. So as many of you collect radios, I collect test instruments. It started out, you buy a spectrum analyzer and and it's some fault with that one, so you have to fix it up. You never do that, so you have to buy another one. I end up with behind me here, I have a great test bench with lots of instruments, and that's my interest, to build and test, and yeah, just into the technical aspect of it, I guess.
Well, I'm sure that I know in Australia we've got plenty of, especially in the microwave community, that they've got a great interest in collecting test equipment as well. And I interviewed a little while ago Peter VK4EA, and he showed off his test equipment, and it was just, a shelf just full of different bits of equipment. And yeah, it's one of those things that you always need these bits and pieces to, do the job that you're doing, I guess, with building transmitters and aligning receivers and all that sort of thing. So it always comes in handy.
It does. And I do want to get into microwaves. I do dabble with a bit with microwaves. I appreciate the videos you do on that term of the hobby. And I like that, seeing what you do on 10 gigs. And you seem to be very active, the guys down there in Tasmania on the microwave. So appreciate these.
Yeah, it's. I suppose it is spurned on a lot by Rex VK7MO, of course, who's quite famous, I suppose, in ham radio circles as far as microwaves are concerned. But I know that you've got a couple of microwave products as well, because in Europe you've got a geostationary satellite that is on is it 10 gigs and 2.4 gigahertz?
Yeah, right. So 10 gig down and 2.4 up. So yeah, that's the Oscar 100. I am building my ground station now, so I have the downlink ready, and for that to be stable, if you run single sideband on 10 gig, you do notice the drift on many of the oscillators that we use to get 10 gig. So what I did, I modified an LNB so that it's injected with a very stable 10 megahertz reference standard, and I made it to a product, so I do have that. I'm still building up the uplink, so maybe that's going to be a product as well. We'll see.
Yeah, yep. So it's a 2 gigahertz uplink and a 10 gigahertz downlink. Is that correct?
Yeah, yep. Exactly. And the problem for me is in Sweden, they actually lowered the allowed output on 2.4 gig to 100 milliwatts.
Oh, only 100
so
milliwatts.
I had to get they did that a few years ago. So I had to get a special permit. So I'm now actually allowed to use 2 watts on 2.4 gigs. So that means that I have to have a parabolic reflector that is at least 2 meters, maybe 2.5 meters. So I'm still waiting to get that one.
So so Oscar 100's got a linear transponder on it. You can use single sideband, and you can also do other things. Can you do digital as well on it, I think?
Digital, and there's a few guys that do digital voice over it, so that's interesting. Oh, yeah. And they have 200 kilohertz of bandwidth, so that's more amateurs there for each day, so it's really exciting to have that.
I'm surprised that you're only allowed 100 milliwatts over there.
Yeah, that's Sweden for you. I don't know why. Maybe to just make sure that I don't have any interference on the Wi-Fi. That's just making it easier for you. But most of the amateurs in Europe can use probably up to the legal limit, whatever that is, 200 watts in Germany.
Yeah. So. I thought Australia was bad. We were allowed 400 watts. So,
all right.
Of course, generating 400 watts at that sort of frequency is another thing altogether. But
you better not stand in front of that reflector when you're doing that.
No. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head. SG Lab in Bulgaria. The transverters and I've got a 25 watt power amplifier from him, and that works really well. And I think he's also got a modified one which is specifically for working the Oscar 100 satellite as well.
He seems to be very popular with for the Oscar 100 crowd. So I've looked into his stuff. It looks really, really good. He seems to be knowing his stuff.
I'm just waiting until he releases a 10 gigahertz transverter.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the some of the options out there are a bit limited or expensive. So,
the German stuff.
Yeah. So you run Whisper pretty much 24/7. What bands are you running Whisper on, and what kind of antenna do you run on your transmitters?
I'm at the moment I only have a 20 meter dipole up. But I will intending to build maybe NFED half-wave or something like that. And I also have plans to build a loop antenna around my yard. I have a pretty big yard, and I have 10-meter masts, 4 of them that I haven't put up yet. So the end goal is to have this horizontal loop and use that as an old band antenna. But for right now, I'm just using a dipole. I ran all bands from 160 meters up to, well, I shift a lot, but at least up to 10 meters. I haven't gone on 6 meters yet. I need to do that. I know that you are experimenting a lot on 6 meters. I want to go live there. So all of the HF band, excluding the really lower bands, you know, like LF and MF. So running transmitters usually every day. Sometimes, you know, I test out my receivers as well, and I do that. And I want to be, the end goal is, of course, to have receivers and transmitters working all bands all the time.
Well, that's actually a very good segue, because I did purchase some Whisper transmitters off you. I think the first one was you've got it's a Whisper desktop transmitter, which is in a nice little, I think it's a machine, nice little black box. Yeah, so one of those. I think the first transmitter that I bought off you was the LP1, which is the version that doesn't come with the low pass filter. That's right.
Right. Yeah. So you have to stick that low pass filter there yourself. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So what I ended up doing, and I'll put a link up here into the cards for those who are interested in what I did with that. I ended up attaching that to a 50-watt power amplifier, and the power amplifier, of course, has a low pass filter built into it, and that drove that very well. It's actually sitting on the ground at the moment because the problem is the power amplifier's got a dry joint in it, so I've got to fix that.
Right.
The beacon was working very well though the last summer that we just had. I had lots of stations who were spotting that. I had who was the furthest? I had Fiji, New Caledonia, and I think New Caledonia may have been the furthest. I think that it was heard. Oh, sorry, no, the Cook Islands. It was heard in the Cook Islands as well. Running.
Wow, how far is that?
Oh, that would be about, I think it's about 4,000 kilometers, 4,500. How many miles is that?
Sporadic E, or what was that?
Yeah, so sporadic E, we had a very intense opening one day, and there was a lot of FT-8 going on at the time, and what I did was check the Whisper beacon, and sure enough, it was being heard all over the place. So I was very, very happy with that. That was running a vertical antenna as well.
So you're running a vertical. Yeah, that's actually a question I had for you. So is that, you know, do people run vertical or horizontal receivers? That's the question for VHF. You tend to go horizontal, I guess.
Well, at 6 meters, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. You get pretty good results on a vertical or a horizontal antenna, because with sporadic E, the polarization shift doesn't really change. It's not a linear shift. It's not the exact same as what's being transmitted. So sometimes signals can be just as strong. All I did was just run a coaxial dipole, and it's up at an old repeater site of mine, which is actually now a beacon site. So I've got that running from there. And then what happened was, when the power amplifier failed, I then took the Whisper desktop transmitter that you had there and just updated the call sign in it and connected to GPS and an antenna, and away we went, and I was transmitting, and that is running. Great. I think I measured about 150 or 200 milliwatts out of that unit.
On 6 meters it's a bit lower. Yeah,
and that was heard all over Australia. So I think from memory it was also heard in Fiji. So that's not bad for 200 milliwatts off that little transmitter.
That's not bad. That's great. Yeah.
And so you've got those now. So as far as the Whisper desktop unit's concerned, what bands does that cover?
So we have 13 bands to cover. Then if you start at 136 kilohertz, so I have divided them up in 3 models to cover all of these bands, because I didn't have space for all the low pass filters in one unit. So I have one unit is service the LF and MF, so 136 and 475 kilohertz. That's called the low model. I have then the mid plus model, which is the most popular one because it covers 160 meters to 20 meters, which I guess, you know, most of us amateurs that operate, we like these frequencies. But I have also a third one that's generating more interest now that the new solar cycles is picking up, and that's the high plus model. That goes from 17 meters up to 6 meters then. So there's 3 models, low, mid plus, and high plus. And yeah, eventually I think I will be able to cram maybe at least 160 meters to 6 meters in one unit. So that's what I'm currently working on. Hopefully I will be able to do that.
I know I've had a bit of a wish list before that I've sent to you about trying to get one of those units on 2 meters, which would be lovely.
Oh, my bad conscience is coming back hard now. Yeah, I know. I promised you that a long time ago. I'm still working on and because the end goal will be to have units from 2 meters, 17 and 23 centimeters as well. So I do actually have a prototype on 2 meters, but I wasn't happy on that. If I do get one that I'm happy with, I'll sure send you one, so you can be the first one to try it out. Yeah. The problem there, you need to have a very stable oscillator, so you probably need to have an external 10 meg reference oscillator for it.
I know there's a lot of amateurs, particularly here in Australia, because we're big on 6 meters and 2 meters whisper during the summer months, and I know that a lot of people have been looking at getting 2 meter whisper transmitters up so that they can free up their radios, because they usually run their radios as whisper transmitters instead. And if they had a standalone unit, it makes it a lot easier for them. I think the only 2 meter one that I've seen is I think it's the Ultimate. I think it's the QRP Labs Ultimate.
Yeah, I think there's a Danish group also called RF0 that has something that can run on 2 meters. If you're into tinkering, it's more like an experimental sport. But yeah, there's a couple of them that runs on 2 meters. And that's how I started out. I want to have a transmitter that didn't tie up my regular transceiver. So that's why I actually started out building these. Using Arduinos so that I can have it running, 24/7 without tying up the radio. So that's a good point. That's I guess why many of the users buy my stuff, because you just fire it up and it's just going, and there's actually no limitation on how long it can transmit, because it gets the timing signal from the GPS network. So it's just I have a few that's been running in Kenya and very odd other places that just be, running for month on end. So I guess they're really good beacons, even though the desktop one, the one that's in this nice box, it's meant to be in your ham shack, I guess, so that you can, change bands and do that if you want to.
I did have an interview with Paul VK0PD down in Antarctica the other day, and I did mention to him about shipping him a whisper transmitter down there so that he can run it. Unfortunately, they don't get mail down there, so I said the next time he goes down there, we'll definitely give him a whisper transmitter to take down.
I'll hook him up with any kind of transmitters from my stack. So just tell me what he wants, and I'll equip him. Yeah, because I had the opposite. I had a guy going to the North Pole with one of my transmitters. I don't know if you read on that blog. There's a Swedish research vessel that regularly goes to the North Pole, and so I equipped them with one of my desktop transmitters. So we've been up to, I think that year they didn't really go to the North Pole. They went way up there to Greenland somewhere. But I think it's been up to the North Pole. So having one in the South Pole, that would be great. Cover the entire planet, then I can say.
Yeah, I'll definitely. If I think he's down there till the end of the year. So hopefully, when he comes back, he might know someone that's going down there. Or I'm not sure if his schedule's going back down there later. But we'll definitely make sure that he's got something there.
We'll take that offline, and I'll get something.
Yeah. Yep. So your main product is that whisper transmitter. As I said, I've got 2 of those, and they work very well. So for those who are interested in purchasing those, you can go to the ZachTek website. I'll put a link in the description below where you can find the online store. And yeah, I really recommend these because my units work very well, and they're very well built, Harry. And I think they're a credit to your building techniques. So some of the other products that you've got, I know you've got a few other whisper-related things, such as a whisper receiver, and also you've got a Pico transmitter as well.
Right. Yeah. It started out actually as a request from an Argentina amateur. I have this. It's called the Mini. I built that. It's really small. It has the GPS antenna built in. So I done that, and it is a small unit. You can battery power it, and a guy called Ignacio, his call sign is LU1ESY. He emailed me. He said, "Hey, I read up that you have this small transmitter. Could you make it even smaller and lighter, preferably below 17 grams?" I was, what? I don't know if that's possible, but I'll give it a shot, I thought. And yeah, so I came up with this one, which is the Pico transmitter. So it has the thinnest PCB board, 0.4 millimeters. And so for the antenna, it has to be lighter. So the antenna is just this wire there. So this is actually only about, it's under 10 grams. And you put solar cells that's sticking out here on the side. There's a panel that is flexible, so they go down like that. And you stick an HF antenna on this for 20 meters, and you fly it on a balloon, and it can be heard. I mean, it's just 10 milliwatt, but it can be heard amazing distances. It's incredible, you know, when you have the antenna height of 10 kilometers, 10 milliwatt. You know, I mean, you can see like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 kilometers. It's amazing.
Mm.
So I did this as a collaboration with Ignacio, and I'm selling that one. And I have the latest iteration, which is this revision, where you can see the solar panels are sticking out in a 45 degrees angle. So this is the latest revision. He's flying that right now. And if that works out well, that will be the new model that I'm selling. And this sells for about $90, and you use a helium or hydrogen balloon, and lots of amateur flies these around the world. You can circumnavigate the planet with this if you're with some luck, I would say. Someone is sending up balloons and they go down after a day. If you're a bit more lucky, they can go on for several weeks. And so that's an area of the hobby that I wasn't aware of, that I actually went into because of a request. So
I like it how I like it how he requested 17 grams and you come up with 10. Yeah. You had 7 to spare.
After a few revisions, I would say, I was thinking 17 grams, that's impossible. But yeah, that one I hold up now is about 11 grams, and I think it's too much solder. I think I can get it down to 10 grams to remove solder.
Oh, that's
really
good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also have receivers, as you said. I have in the same box, but it's a receiver instead. And this was actually my first product I started building. And it's a really easy direct conversion receiver. Yeah, you can see the diagram there. So just basically you connect an antenna, power, and you get audio out. And that audio you get into your computer and run the software there, whatever that is, the official software, or you run it on a Raspberry Pi and run something like Whisper Daemon or something like that. So that was actually the first product I did. For several reasons, I just sold a few of them, and then I redesigned it, and I have the latest one, and I'm selling them again. So that's a quite popular choice as well, just to run a receiver without tying up your transmitter. And
what bands does the receiver cover?
So they are single bands, but they cover all the bands from let me see, I think currently it's from 80 meters up to 4 meters. And I will expand them down and up to cover most of the bands eventually. So, but they are single bands, but super easy to start up. You just, hook them up. They're already on frequency. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. Many people like that. You just plug it in and
away it goes. Forever. Yeah. Well, and I think I said that too about your transmitters. It's very simple. You're just connecting a GPS, an antenna, plug it into your computer to program up, set it going, and you don't have to think about it. It just runs in the background, and you just check in every now and then and see where you've been heard. So
absolutely, that's the whole idea behind them. You just stick them wherever you want. You don't have to have them in the shack even. You can have them, in the loft if you put up an antenna there or whatever. Yep.
So is there any other products that you've got in your store? I know you've got lots of different experiments and different bits and pieces, some in stock and some out of stock. What are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, so the problem is, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. All my stuff is handmade. I do that by hand. So I do have a machine now, a pick and place machine that helps me out doing some of the stuff on the board, but they're still handmade. So I get out of stocks sometimes. I have some products related to frequency reference. So I have a 10 megahertz reference, which has a crystallized oven. And I also have a calibrator for that one. So you buy that and maybe you want to recalibrate it every year or so against the GPS network. I also sell a calibrator for that. I have the LMB that is locked to a 10 megahertz reference. What more do I have? I have a few odds and pieces. Like I have synthesizer that goes up to 4 gig. And some cables and stuff like that. And so what I will do is probably go into, in the future, I want to have a combined receiver transmitter for digital modes. Many people ask for that. Okay, I like your transmitter, I like your receiver. Couldn't I just have one of them? And so possibly that's something that will come in the future. But just check out my shop and see what you can find there. If you're interested in something that I don't have, just shoot me a mail and see what we can do.
And you've got worldwide shipping on your shop as well? You ship all over the world?
I ship all over the world, regular post, or if you want to have it fast by DHL Express, you pay in US dollar. And you can pay by credit card or PayPal.
Yep. Very easy, very good, easy to navigate shop. I've been there a few times, and I check out your blog every now and then too. And when you mentioned about the station up in the North Pole, I did remember seeing that blog post on there as well. So
yeah, great.
So you'll be able to check up on the updates anyway that Harry is what he's doing in the shack and what new projects are coming along. So, as I said, I'll leave a link in the description below to the ZachTek RF store. So make sure that you check that out. And thank you very much, Harry, for joining me today. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we close off?
No, not really. Thank you for the opportunity, and hope to catch you on the band someday.
Thank you very much, Harry, for joining me today on Ham Radio DX. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. We have coming up next on the YouTubers Hamfest Chuck KK6USY with an interview. So check that out in the playlist that is linked over to the right, or should hopefully be linked over to the right. Thank you for watching, and 73 for now.